All right, getting ready to change a CV boot on a 2022 Suzuki King Quad. I've never done this before, so I'm thinking this will be a good video just to show everybody who hasn't done it before what I've done and how this goes. Went a little overboard. Bought 3 CV boot kits, as you can see here. I bought this one here because it came with everything. So as I open it, see it comes with the grease, comes with the bands, it even comes with a little bag with the bolts and clips and everything. So I bought 2 just in case I screwed it up. Got some extra bands, some extra grease. Then I bought another one here. So these reach for about 20 bucks. So I ended up spending probably close to $100. Way going overboard. I bought these tools, which we'll show you how to use. The extra bands, I got a hammer, some clamp clips. What happened was right on a trail, had a logging area, and then you can see there the CV boot. So coming in from the back, it's the inside. On my right side, if I'm sitting on it, it got hit with a pretty massive log from a logging area in Frederick. And now I'm getting ready to pop the tire off, take this thing apart and see if I can handle it. Just took the 4 lug nuts off, size 14, with the impact wrench to get the tire off. We'll just roll the tire out of the way there. I like to use a magnetic tray for keeping the lugs and the other bolts in. So it looks like now we're gonna take the 2 A-arm guards off. We also got this big one here in the middle. It's got this pin coming through it, so we'll bend the pin back, tap it out. I'll probably put an impact on here and then just take it out that way. We'll see how this goes. Now we're just gonna tap the pin out. So we're just getting this pin out. This isn't what I do, remember, so, oh, that bolt's turned a touch too much on there. So the pin fits through, but boy, they made it pretty tight. I don't know exactly. Come on, baby. There we go. Okay, got the pin out. Put it in our can here. Now I gotta figure out what size this is. So this one's just one too big. So we'll go down one size. This isn't what I do every day, so kind of figuring this out as I go. We've got quite a few here that are too small. And then this one looks to be one size too big. Okay, I hit the wrong button on the camera there. 30mm impact socket there. For the inside, I'm gonna use this 14 for this outer one, and I'm gonna try to just hold it on the one side and pop it off on this side. And if that didn't do it, then I just have to reset the socket. There we go. And I gotta do that again on the bottom. So we used our impact wrench. We got both of these bolts off. They were both 14s. 14mm, and then on the inside was a 12. Now we gotta kind of just knock this through. It's actually coming out even when I start pushing on it. So this one came, the bottom one. I want to be kind of gentle if I can be. Very nice. And then the top one came out pretty easy. Whoop. Here we go. There's the hub. Tire was attached to. Gonna put it just the way it went there. Now, if I can get this to stay up out of the way, what I'm told is you grab this and just kind of jerk it like this, and then it should come out. There it goes. And now I gotta hurry up and put a rag in there because I forgot about that part. So now I just gotta put a rag in there to prevent that rear end fluid. It's just coming out just a little bit, as you can see. So the recap would be just to kind of put a rag in here to prevent the rear end fluid from coming out. We took off the wheel, we took off the big, if you look into our pan here, we took off the big nut that was holding on the whole wheel. This is the top and bottom A-arm guards. And then that's really was about it. It was pretty easy. Now comes the fun part. Here's our ripped boot. Now it's time to take a look at what we got to do about that. All right, so we got this pin in here. We use this little screwdriver hook. There's a groove inside here. This is where our ripped A-arm was. I was able to get this band off. This band I'm having a hard time with, so this was ripped so bad. I was able to just simply, there's a groove that runs along inside here. I took this little hook in here. It popped this little retaining clip out, and now this just comes out. So now it's time to clean this all up really nice. And I believe there's one more retaining clip in here. We'll take this off and then we'll clean it and start to put the new one back on. Okay, so I just took a retaining clip out. There's a groove inside here. This retaining clip was in here, which was holding this together. So this CV boot was ripped so bad, I was able to get one clamp off it, but this clamp here is I'm having a hard time with. There's another retaining clip in here. I'm gonna pop that off, then take all of this apart and clean it really good, and then get this band off and see about putting it back together.
I wanted to include some extra takes on this just in case it helps you out. This was my first time doing it, and hopefully this extra couple of clips helps you too.
Remove the clip in here, which pulled this out. At this point, we have to take this ball piece off. And as you're looking at it, you can see there's a flatter side on the inside and a concave, indented inside on the outside, which will go in like that, so it goes in first. We want to remember that for putting it back on. We bought this clip tool. So we take this on here, put it into each of those holes, and typically it's nice to have this in a vise, and then we just try to pop the clip off from there. I did, it's right here. There's the clip. Now I gently want to take this piece with the bearings or the balls on it off, and I want to remember how it went back on. If I can get it off.
Here's a couple quick pictures of what we just went through, taking that off and just getting it cleaned up and then putting it back together and then showing the little clip tool kit we bought here.
Okay, so we popped out the retaining clip that was holding this in. There was a groove in there for it. You can see the groove right here. Then this slides out. And when you take a look at how this is, because this is the inner boot, so it'll go like that. This out here will go to the wheel. This will be here. This part that's indented in goes to the outside of this. That's what you have to really remember. Takes a couple of taps to get this off. We'll set this down here. There's our retaining clip. And here's our boot. You can see we got it good. And I'm going to tell you, this boot does not feel like anything special. It feels like a piece of plastic. So the replacement one actually feels better. Grease is really clean. It doesn't appear to be any damage. So now we're going to clean it up really good and put the new stuff back on. So I noticed a little bit of sand inside the gears here on this. So I'm just going to blow a little bit of air through it and just knock the sand out. We're going to be very careful to not blow it in too much and just take a little time really cleaning this. We just put this band on, which I'm going to show you guys how to do in just a minute. We put the CB boot on. We had this one here, which looks like Niche, N-I-C-H-E CB axle boot. It matched up as the same as the one that we took off from the factory, so that's the one we went with. I bought two different kinds just in case. I think either one would have worked. This one was just the same size. It comes with everything you need. It comes with the bands, the grease. So what you do, we band this on there in the same spot, and then we're going to fill this up halfway with grease and then start to piece this back together. So then we'll jump back in.
Important note, I did put the grease halfway in the CV boot and then realized that I needed to put some grease inside the piece that you saw with the large ball bearings on it. So I did go in and fill that halfway up. It was a little bit of a pain fixing it. So really keep that in mind when you're watching this video, that you're going to want to put some of this grease inside the ball bearing piece.
Okay, so we put the ball piece back in there with the clip, and we put the grease inside here, and then we just put this back on. We bought this piece, they're about $15. You want the half moon size up. So you basically are going in the end under that half moon piece, and then you're kind of going to work your way back. And then there's another groove piece, and that's really the thing that tightens it. This is the back one. So this is the tightener, this is the cutter. So at first this was a little confusing. Now I'm just trying to get it through. So then you got to, after you get through there, you kind of push it down. Because this, you can see this band that came with this is really, really long. So then you get it up in here and you make sure this is on the groove. So we're here. Now I'm gonna start twisting this. Okay? And I'm gonna snug this band up. And you can see it, boom, it just snugged up right around there. At least in person you can see that. Once I get it good and snug, it's about good enough. I wanna make sure to get a good bend in it. So I got it snug. Now we bend. So I'm pushing it forward. And then once we push it forward and I got it snug and bending, then I take the cutter tool and I'm just gonna pull it towards me. And you heard it kind of make a sound. Then it cut. So there we go. So it's banded on there. Seems to be super tight. We had some grease under there and you can see it kind of squeezing out. We had a little bit of a grease mess putting it inside here. Then we'll basically want to go back as straight as we possibly can because we don't want this to be able to cut when this thing's spinning. I'll take a hammer and I'll tap this down here and I'll tap these two things down here. So we want this really, really straight. Most people are using a small hammer you see in other videos. Didn't know where mine was. Oh, that's going the wrong way. We just want to secure that down like that. So there we go. There's our fixed up A-arm boot. We got some cleaning to do on it because we made a little bit of a grease mess. But overall, seems like it's going to be pretty good. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing, moving in and out. You can hear the grease in there. So here we go. We're going to put it back on the machine. Now we're going to take this. We got it all put back together, cleaned up, and we're gonna put it back in. You basically just get this A-arm out of the way. Gently, gently try to get the gears to line back up here. And then we'll push that in. And then we'll get the tire back on. So this drive shaft here for the 2CV boots, we just had to really work it into the rear end. It took a few twists and turns, and eventually it went in. Just so you know, if you're doing that, it may take you a few shots to get it in. Then we came down and we put the hub back on. The skinny end, there's a skinnier end here and then a thicker end at the bottom. We got that back on, lined up. Now we're just gonna snug up the two A-arms that are coming down into the hub. So we got the drive shaft all in, the CV boot replaced. We're gonna tighten up these two bolts and then take the big bolt, put it back on here, put the pin through, and put the wheel back on. Let's see how it goes. We're snugging the two bolts onto the A-arms. I'm doing it by hand because I just don't want to do it too tight. I'm not sure how tight to go, but it seems to be pretty stable, so it doesn't seem to matter too much. Okay, so they're on pretty good. Now we're gonna put the front hub bolt back on. So this was under it when we took it off, so it's gonna go something like that. Something like that.
What size is that?
.30mm. So we got a 30mm socket. We're just gonna give this a little tap on there and try to line it up with, so we can get the cotter pin back through it. Yeah, not quite there. Oh, that might do. Let's see if we can get the cotter pin back through. And once we put this cotter pin back through the hole, then we're pretty well done. And I just gotta see if I can tap that through. It's just a touch up. All right, so we're gonna tap that back through, but I might have to adjust this bolt just a touch. So what I did, I have a 30mm socket. I put it onto a large socket because using an impact wrench to put this back on was hard to line up. What I noticed is, once I did it by hand, I could get it just where I wanted. And the cotter pin really won't go through until you get it just where it's supposed to be. So I was able to tighten this by hand, give it some good snugs, get it lined up perfect, tap this gently through, and then fold this up. And all we got to do now is put the wheel back on. All right, last step, 17 millimeter impact socket with an impact wrench. I'm just gonna snug these lugs up real quick. I give it just a touch extra on each one. Then we're getting ready to go road test it. All right, so we just got the wheel back on. We gotta add some fluid to the rear end. And the one point that we really wanted to make when we were doing this is that we've never done something like this before. We YouTubed it. We probably don't show as good of a job as some of the professional mechanics, but the bottom line is we did it. We could have done this project for approximately $20 to $30. The part's about $20. If you need a couple of tools, they're between 10 and 15. So between $25 and $40, you can do this yourself. For us to load this up on our trailer, drive 35 minutes one way to the dealer, drop it off, come back home, unhook the trailer. A week or two later, go pick it back up. You're talking a 3 or 4 hour process and probably between $350 and $600 to have this done at the dealer. Whereas we're able to now learn how to do it and do it for 20 to 30. You're gonna find anytime you're off-roading, you're always gonna have little things go wrong. This had no fault of the machine. This was going through a logged area, came up, hit my CV boot, tore it. Thanks for tuning in. Please feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel.